Halo. What can be said about this series that hasn't already been said?
Halo Combat Evolved is one of the best and most influential first-person shooters ever created.
Few sequels that come out as strong and booming as Halo 2.
Halo 3 goes on to sell more than 4 million copies in the first few weeks.
Halo 4 is a disaster in almost every way.
Halo 5's story is so bad that it's actually the perfect example for how not to tell a story.
Halo Infinite went from everyone's favorite new game to abandoned in the span of a year.
Most know the basics of the story, and yet we still can't seem to grasp what the hell happened. Fans should have moved on years ago, but we can't. Why? Because Halo wasn't just a game when I was a kid. It was everything. The trailers were hyped, the midnight launches felt like holidays, and the game nights, magical. My friends and I weren't just fans, we were obsessed, and this obsession led us to building our very own shrine. Not just any old shrine, but a playhouse, a little home in Dylan's backyard. The bottom floor was to be the hangout, the main floor, the dance floor, and the top, well, this was the crown jewel. Painted red and blue with space for 2 TVs and 4 butts. This was our monument to Halo. Our little place to show love to the greatest games of all time. Halo wasn't just a shooter to us, it was culture, it was community. It was the thing that brought us all together. It didn't matter if you were bad at the game because Halo wasn't just about winning. It was about moments, the last second flag captures, the impossible no-scopes, the betrayals that turned friends into enemies for the night. But now, after all these years, that magic is gone. Halo feels like a ghost of what it once was. Familiar, but hollow. My friends still love Halo, but only in the way you love an old song from high school. Something nostalgic, something tied to a time that you can never really come back to no matter how hard we try. And the new generation, the ones who should be carrying the torch as the old generation fades out, they couldn't care less. Master Chief is just a cool skin in Fortnite now. You know what the saddest part is? It feels like even Microsoft doesn't care about Halo anymore. Months ago, I was at Gamescom in Germany, the biggest game conference in the world. There were hundreds of thousands of people at this conference and thousands of game booths. Some were the size of 3-story buildings. It was wild to see, and Microsoft put up a pretty big showing. They had a flight simulator booth, they had a Doom booth, even a Sea of Thieves booth. But you know what they didn't have? Halo. Their poster boy for the past 20 years was nowhere to be found. This series was the reason Xbox became a household name in the first place. Now Chief, he's gone. Which begs the question, is Halo finally dying? Now we all know how Halo started. Bungie built something incredible and Microsoft saw its potential. Before Halo Combat Evolved even hit shelves, Microsoft bought Bungie, knowing they had the golden goose to make the Xbox blow up. But what made that first game, that first Halo game, so special? It wasn't just that it was Bungie's only Halo game developed outside of Microsoft's direct control, it was the heart behind it. Jason Jones and Joseph Staten were on a mission to redefine what a first-person shooter could be. Halo wasn't just about big maps, vehicles, or weapons. It was about balance. Guns, grenades, melee. The golden triangle. And the AI? It was dynamic, intelligent, aliens that felt alive, that were kind of funny. So when Halo launched, it wasn't just a success, it was a revolution. It brought LAN parties to living rooms everywhere and gave us the most iconic multiplayer shooter ever. Even the guns are recognizable the moment you see them. Just look. But Combat Evolved wasn't just about the gameplay. Halo was a culture. It gave birth to communities, friend groups, and even TV shows like Red vs. Blue, the inspiration for our Halo shrine. But little did we know, Bungie was just getting started.
Always one of the most eagerly awaited video games finally goes on sale.
Preparing to rewrite retail history.
Video game is expected to have bigger first-day revenues than any movie.
When Halo 2 was announced, the hype was unreal. It wasn't just a sequel, it was the next step in gaming. Bungie doubled down on their story, featuring both the Master Chief and the Arbiter. Then came Xbox Live. Halo 2 wasn't the first online game, but it was the first online game for millions. And for me, it was fun, it was sweaty, and kind of silly, all wrapped up into one. No! But as amazing as Halo 2 was, the game was development hell. Unlike the first Halo, which was developed outside of Microsoft's reach, this game had corporate oversight. Suits sticking their grubby little hands into places they didn't belong. Microsoft wanted to release the game fast. They didn't care what it looked like, they just wanted the game out and they wanted the money in. Ed Fries, the head of Microsoft Studios, explained it this way. I remember I was in a meeting about Halo 2, and the reality was that we needed to move it back a year to deliver the game we wanted. Former Chief Xbox Officer Robbie Bach turned it into a vote. Their choices were to force Bungie to ship Halo 2 a year before it was ready, or give them an extra year to get it done right. All the senior people who worked for Robbie voted to force the team to ship it. I, however, walked out of the meeting saying, I'm going to quit right now if that's what we're going to do. So they went back on it and gave Bungie extra time. But I still quit 6 months later. That vote showed the attitude of what was going on there. Here we see the first example of Microsoft's oversight. Bungie's whole focus was on making a great game, while Microsoft was more focused on shipping product. Jason Jones described Halo 2 as an experience that wouldn't have existed without you bleeding buckets of blood into whatever code or design. So they were fighting Microsoft, had little time to develop this game, yet they were able to make an unbelievable experience. Why? Because the developers were gamers too.
We are the jaded crowd who, if a game doesn't entertain us in 5 minutes, we stop playing it.
If it wasn't for Ed Fries and many other unsung heroes at Bungie, Halo would have died with 2. The game would have shipped as a heaping mess, and our story would have ended here.
Tell that to the Covenant.
But thank John it wasn't. And despite the bloodbath of development, Halo 2 was a huge hit.
Dozens of grown men and probably about 3 women have crawled out of their parents' basements tonight to be first in line to buy the new video game, Halo 2.
Halo 2 for me is like the second Lord of the Rings or the second Mistborn book. It's not the beginning where you learn about these characters and are excited to start this new journey, and it's not the end where everything is barreling towards some kind of conclusion, some kind of climax. It's this bridging of the two, which can make or break a trilogy. And Bungie nailed it. Halo 2 just brought this depth, it brought additional character development, and really pushed this multiplayer to new heights, paving the way for us to finish the fight with Halo 3.
You ever wonder what's up there? Like what? Maybe someone up there was wondering what it's like here.
For those that remember this trailer, this was the moment I truly fell in love with Halo. I played Halo 1, I played Halo 2, they were great. To this day, I have never seen marketing for a game like Halo 3. I saw this video during the 2007 Super Bowl, and let me tell you, it blew me away. The emotional transition from kids lying in the grass to Chief picking up his helmet has lived rent-free in my brain for over 15 years. Everything they released for marketing at this time was gold. Do you remember the action figure video? Sounds corny, but I still get goosebumps watching this. It was impossible to escape Halo 3 in 2007. It didn't matter if you were a gamer, Master Chief was everywhere. And the expectations were through the roof. This wasn't just a game. It was the end of a story, the end of a trilogy, the end of an era. And Bungie nailed it. And its launch was so powerful, it even ruined the box office. For those that didn't experience Halo 3 in its prime, it really was a special time. It's hard to explain the magic, but everything just came together. The Xbox 360's online experience was amazing. The community around Halo at that time was amazing. And the game was just, the story, the multiplayer, the Forge, and only a one-time purchase for $50. But once you finish the campaign and you start looking at the credits, you'll realize something. There's no director or project manager. Halo 3 had come with a price. Marty O'Donnell put it this way: it was really hard to figure out who was going to lead Halo 3. Jason Jones had left, telling us, I can't do this again. I almost killed myself. And Joseph Staten was gone on an extended vacation. The game was left without a decisive leader. Bungie, while experienced, were battling internally on what to do with the game. And Microsoft was not helping with their constant poking and prodding. The core issue this time around was the story. The entire team knew what had to be done. It had to end. There had to be stakes, and they needed to make fans proud. But the Halo 3 story was written by a bunch of guys in the middle ground saying, I want to do it this way, but I can't explain why. And I'm not sure why my idea is better than yours, so I'm just going to defend it loudly. No reason why, so it's just a shouting match. The lack of leadership was strongly felt, and it looked like Halo 3 wouldn't cross the finish line. But then, the unthinkable happened. The almighty Joseph returned. He got things back on track and gave the story a clear direction. But the release of Halo 3 was bittersweet for many fans. Bungie was clear. This was the end of the story. The Covenant were defeated, and Master Chief was going back to sleep.
Wake me when you need me.
It was a perfect ending. For such a popular franchise, it's so strange to actually get a satisfying ending. And Halo should have ended right there. We should be talking about the Master Chief story like we do Avatar: The Last Airbender or Breaking Bad. Stories that ended when they needed to and when all you wanted was more.
You're goddamn right.
But that's not how it works. Not when you're owned by Microsoft. Bungie wanted to move on to new things, but Microsoft did not. So they came to an agreement. Bungie became an independent studio once again. The price? Halo. Bungie gave the rights of the Golden Goose to Microsoft and committed to make 2 more games before they left. The question was, what did they make before moving on? Microsoft, of course, kept asking, why not more Master Chief? Everyone wants more Master Chief. But Marcus Leto, Bungie's creative director at the time, explained that it just didn't feel right. The team had finished the story. The coffin was sealed. It did not make sense to go and open it again. So they needed something focused, something different. So in 2009, they released Halo 3 ODST, where you play as an ODST on a Spartan in the fallen city of Mombasa. The game was a smaller spin-off, still sharing the same multiplayer as Halo 3, but man, it was beautiful. The world was just dripping with atmosphere, and the soundtrack was amazing. Then Bungie released their last Halo game, the incredible and tragic prequel to Halo 1, The Fall of Reach, where you follow the story of a few Spartans as they try and fail to stop the destruction of Reach. The campaign is beloved by everyone. The multiplayer, however, had some controversy. Not a ton though, surprisingly. Probably because it still felt like Halo, just with some added elements and had armor lock.
The only way to play is with armor lock.
But Reach was the last Halo game from Bungie. And at the end of the campaign, Bungie said their farewell. So they passed the torch to Microsoft. They moved on. And Microsoft, well, they had big plans for Halo. After the agreement with Bungie, Microsoft created a new studio, 343 Industries, named after 343 Guilty Spark. Kind of strange for a studio in charge of Halo to be named after the thing that tries to kill the Master Chief and does kill our boy Sergeant Johnson.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
But whatever, 343, they had some experience with Halo since they collaborated with Bungie on ODST and Reach, and hopefully they knew what they were doing because Halo was all theirs. Now, when the studio split, a couple people joined 343 from Bungie, but for the most part, this was an entirely new team. Bungie Ross, a Microsoft veteran, was appointed to lead the new project. So she and Microsoft began to assemble a new team. The best team according to Frank Connors. New designers, a new composer, a new design philosophy, and most of all the money Microsoft could throw at them.
Shut up and take my money.
So with the team built, 343 got to work. First, they released the Gimme, a nice first base hit to get them acclimated. Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, a full remake of the original where you could toggle on and off the new and old graphics. Great stuff. Nothing groundbreaking, but I liked it. Nice job, 343. Then came the real test for this fledgling studio, the first big Halo reveal. It looked great. I personally remember the build up to Halo 4, and it had a similar feeling as 3. It wasn't exactly the same, it wasn't nearly as memorable as the Believe campaign, but I was excited. People were excited. The prologue had showed this interview with Dr. Halsey, who created the Spartans, and the game was going to answer questions, have new aliens, new weapons. Now the story was going to be a little bit more of an introspective and a focus on Master Chief and Cortana's relationship. Less exciting, but it's Master Chief, so that's great. Now Halo 4 would also have Forge, split screen, a multiplayer, everything you could want in a Halo game. And the best part, according to 343, is going to be more competitive than ever. Now Halo 4 was very successful. It sold over 9.7 million copies and it made $300 million in its first week, which set a record for the series. But something was different about this game. Shortly after launch, a lot of people put it down and went back to Halo 3 and Reach. That's always going to happen. Many people preferred Halo 1 over Halo 2 or 2 over 3, but this was different. In only 2 months, Halo 4 dropped out of the top 3 games on Xbox Live, and a year after launch, Halo 4's peak daily player count fell to about 20,000. That's not horrendous, at least until you compare it to Halo 3, which a year after launch had 1.1 million peak daily players, and Halo Reach had 900,000 a year after launch. So the data doesn't really lie. People weren't sticking around for Halo 4. The thing about 4 is the gameplay just felt off. It looked like Halo, but it didn't feel like Halo. Something was different when you were playing. And for all those that say Halo 4 didn't follow the Halo formula, that the golden triangle. Neither did Reach. This game completely changed the Halo formula in the sandbox with loadouts. But people still played the crap out of Reach, including me, because it was fun. It was different, don't get me wrong, but it was still fun. And personally, I think there's this one crucial difference between Reach and 4, something a little bit more ethereal that separates the two, and that's passion for Halo. Frank O'Connor put it this way: we had people who we hired who hated Halo because of X. But what that really meant was, I feel like this game could be awesome because of Y, that I'm going to bring into it. I want to prove it, and I'm passionate about proving it. So we ended up with a bunch of people who were genuinely passionate about the product. Did you catch that? Not the part that they hired people who hated Halo. That's obvious. But 2 other things. Number 1, people were passionate about changing Halo, not about making the game as it should be. And number 2, the way Frank described the game, we ended up with a bunch of people who were genuinely passionate about the product. The core issue with Halo 4, in my mind, is not just the passion of the developers, or lack of, but it was the passion of the leaders and the way that they viewed the games. You will always have people on your team who are just there for a paycheck. You cannot change that, but you can guide those people to do the right type of work. You'd rather hire people that are passionate, but not everyone will be. It's your job as the leader to find the fun in your game, not the developers. Your devs can give you insights and information when something feels off, but the sign of a good leader is someone who gives clear direction, a clear path, so everyone can do their job to keep the ship going on track. Even if your employees disagree and don't like the game you are making, they will follow and help however they can if they understand the vision and trust you as a leader. Or they'll jump ship and go somewhere else. That was the problem with 343. The people at the top were suits from Microsoft. There wasn't a buffer like before with Bungie leaders, these creatives, fighting Microsoft, fighting these suits to keep their vision in place and to keep the ship on track. There was no one at the top who was passionate about making a great game. No one with a clear vision for just finding the fun. They might have been passionate about making a great product, but there's a difference. The first focuses on finding enjoyment for the player, while the second focuses on finding the best business and revenue model. So why did players move on from Halo 4? Not because it was a bad game necessarily, but because it wasn't as fun as previous Halo games. Because it felt off on so many levels. And it's not easy to just say Halo 4 bad. Halo 4 is just not as good as other Halo games. And that bar is high. You can't just make good Halo games. Fans, we expect too much. We want the best because we had the best. So when 343 announced the Master Chief Collection, Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4, all in this one beautiful package, including a full remake of Halo 2, we were hyped. It was classic Halo, and it was for the Xbox One. Fans could finally play their favorite Halo games again, just like the old days. There was no way 343 could mess this up. Then the product came out.
There is not a single title on this entire disc that's working to form right now. Not a single title. That's the 343 guarantee.
What? You can't do it. You can't play a match.
So incredibly terrible. I took it back the same day I bought it.
It is unbelievable how bad they messed up. They were literally given some of the most popular video games of all time, and all they had to do was re-release them with a functional multiplayer. That was it. They didn't need to reinvent the wheel, come up with a new design, game, whatever it is. But I guess if product is what they want to deliver, product is what we're gonna get. It was depressing. Not just for me, but for a lot of players. And 343 realized things were bad. I'm not sure how they didn't see this coming. I mean, a day worth of testing would have shown them the countless bugs with their product. But game testing is peons work. Who's gonna play their own game? At least 343 kept fans updated, with Bonnie Ross releasing a statement saying, "We have not delivered the experience you deserve. I personally apologize for this on behalf of all of us at 343 Industries. Our team is committed to working around the clock until these issues are resolved." Microsoft also gave players a free month of Xbox Live Gold, special cosmetics, and added Halo ODST for free. But the problems were so bad that it took 343 years to properly fix the MCC, and by then, most people lost interest. They were gone. But the next product would be a hit. 343 promised they were hard at work making the next Halo for Microsoft. I mean us. Which brings us to Halo 5. Now I remember watching this trailer and thinking, Chief is in the sand with a cloak. That's cool. And then I watched the gameplay trailer. There's another Spartan protagonist. That's interesting, I guess. But wait, Chief is being hunted now? Why? He's the Master Chief. No Spartan is better than him. At least that's kind of what I thought. But the marketing was heavily implying there was this rivalry between these two Spartans. So, okay, that's the story. Chief against Locke. It was experimental. It was different. So fans were naturally a bit nervous. How could you not be after the MCC? But 343, they assured us they learned from their mistake. This was going to be a great game and a great story. Then the game came out. Like Halo 4, it was a smash hit financially, breaking another record with $400 million in the first week. It was the fastest selling Xbox One exclusive at the time. But was it fun? Well, it was for some. According to IGN, the shooting had never felt better, and the MP was the best since Halo 2. And the game did hold players for longer than 4, so that was something. But it drew mostly new fans, a lot of new fans. And old Halo fans like me, I couldn't really get into it. It wasn't emulating Call of Duty like Halo 4 was, but it wasn't really classic Halo either. It was something entirely different. If I could use one word to describe 5, it was competitive. Really competitive.
Competitive as possible. Very competitive.
Really competitive.
And don't get me wrong, I like competitive games. I have thousands of hours playing every MOBA out there. I've beaten Elden Ring, I've competed in Smash tournaments, not to mention, I watch competitive Halo a lot. But like Super Smash, Halo is supposed to be a social game first and a competitive game second. That is its DNA. Bungie got it, but the 343 team just doesn't seem to understand. Because of this competitive mentality, Halo 5 shipped without a campaign co-op or split-screen multiplayer. I mean, who wants to play a competitive game with half a screen? Who's lame enough to still play video games with friends on their couch? Then there was Warzone, the massive game mode, bigger teams, enemy AIs, vehicle drops, massive maps, and more chaos. It was the big addition, the new cool thing to Halo. But it had one big flaw. My favorite thing in gaming, loot boxes.
Yes. All the details are...
I love it.
This is the first time?
Oh, so
yeah.
You're really hoping it doesn't crash, right?
That's fantastic.
That's right, we had loot boxes in Halo, or requisition packs. 343 let you spend money as a matter of convenience. Can't be putting time to earn stuff. Very considerate of them. What was even better is you couldn't just unlock a cool helmet, visor, assassination like the old days. You had to get it with gambling. And all these weren't just cosmetics that you could purchase. You could pay for powerful drop-ins, vehicles, weapons, upgrades. Good old pay to win. Then there was the story, the best in the series. On paper, 2 rival Spartans kind of sounds like Halo 2. 2 protagonists, 2 stories. The Arbiter and Chief at each other's throats. But Halo 5's story wasn't the same as 2. The Arbiter felt like a match for Chief, someone who could truly be a worthy competitor. Or as I said before, no other Spartan should have come close to Chief. So in my mind, putting these 2 up against one another didn't make sense. I'm not a huge lore guy, that's just how I felt. And then there was this dual protagonist story, this thing they marketed so hard, and it didn't really happen. It was like this minor part of the narrative at best. Look, you can do different perspectives and stories. In Halo 2, Master Chief had 8 missions and Arbiter had 6. But the mission stories all led back to Chief. So the main guy needs to be the focus because that was the promise you gave me in the beginning. Master Chief was promised to be the focus, and we are supposed to be following his story. If the promise from the beginning had been, we're going to follow a different Spartan named Locke, then cool. Tell me that story. You've done it before with ODST and Reach. But that wasn't the promise. We were promised Chief, and instead, we kind of got this. Brynner Sanderson, my favorite author and one of the greatest fantasy writers of all time, explains why stories like Halo 5 don't work, saying,
"This is very much the same problem I had in the original draft of Oathbringer, where I say, here is your promise. This character is really interested in X, and all the characters are interested in going to X. And then I sent them to Y. And the initial draft, everyone's like, yeah, but this is the side quest. I know this is the side quest. When we're going to get to what you told me was the main story. I look at that and think there's a lesson there in making sure when you're doing these subplots with your side characters, make sure the reader is invested in wanting to see more of that character, or at least that their character arc is going to be engaging and interesting. Make sure you're making right promises for that character and then showing progress upon the thing you promised the reader that you were going to get.
So that first promise of Halo 5, this epic first reveal trailer with Chief in the sand. One thing, it doesn't even happen in the game, and Chief is a minor character in his own story. So Halo 5 wasn't a great Halo game for many because it forgot its core identity of being a social game. It forgot that pay-to-win mechanics will destroy even the best game modes. It forgot the promise to tell a Master Chief story. And with all these mistakes, it was clear that 343 forgot what made Halo Halo. The fans. For many, Halo was gone. 5 played too differently. The story wasn't good or wasn't what we were looking for. And 343 had broken too many promises. After all this, 343 went dark.
Oh shit, this is Halo, dude. Yeah!
Could it be a Halo game that looks like Halo? Gone was the strange design, and Master Chief had his classic look again. And the game was going to take place on a Halo ring. Was Halo back? After over 10 years, had 343 finally figured it out? Fans and I were hesitantly optimistic. Then 343 announced that Halo Infinite was a 10-year game. We want Infinite to grow over time versus going those numbered titles and having all the segmentation that we had before. What did this mean? Was it going to be a live service? Immediately, I thought that's not good. We saw what they did with 5, but hopefully that would be the only bad news we get in 2020. Everything else is going to work out.
China has identified the cause of the mysterious new virus.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, 2020 was chocked full of wild news. From not being able to go outside to seeing this funky guy pop up on screens. Backlash from Craig and a few other reasons led to the game being delayed. Fans were nervous again. Most of us had PTSD from 10 years of 343 failure. But 343, they told us they wanted it to be perfect, which is why they delayed Infinite. And there was some good news within all this chaos. Joseph Staten, he was back. The man, the myth, the legend was to be the project lead of Halo Infinite. The guy that helped bring Halo 3 together. Hype was growing again for Halo, and people were anxiously waiting to try Infinite in December. Then 343 did something unexpected. They released a beta of Infinite a month early on Halo 1's 20th anniversary. And it was awesome. People loved it. I loved it. It felt like a modern classic Halo. Somehow 343 had built a game that would satisfy most old and new fans.
And I mean, it was a really hype time, of course. And especially for myself and any other competitor, it was like all eyes on Halo. And people really enjoyed it. People still, I think, enjoy it when they do get to play it. So it was like a 6-year gap in between H5 and Infinite that really was like that build up. And I think a lot of people felt pretty satisfied with what we got in terms of just like, oh, this feels like Halo. This looks like Halo. It feels really like packaged well. And
they had nailed the gameplay. They nailed the art style. Everything was there for Halo to succeed. Now all they needed to do was release the rest of the game. What happened? At release, there was no game modes, no maps, no split screen, no forge, no campaign co-op. Practically nothing was there. Nothing was ready. And the few things they did have were broken.
It launched with absolutely nothing. Like, it's incredible how little it launched with for a Halo game. This is Xbox's main baby. You know, it's their breadwinner. It's the face of Xbox.
Now, one thing did work at launch: the store. Let's just say I never had a problem trying to buy the color red for $5. But what's worse than the store was the support. Season 1 launched with the game in November 2021. Season 2, May of 2022. 6 months, twice as long as other live service games. And what was included in the new season? Some skins, 2 maps, and a game mode that no one asked for. Did 343 seriously just screw this up again?
Oh, come on!
Like this one hurt even more than Halo 4 and 5. Because I think Halo Infinite is amazing. The game feels so fun. It feels like Halo. The weapons feel great. It's not too fast, and the art design is perfect. I still play Infinite every Thursday with all the boys.
Did anybody just see that?
Well, I saw
Alright, push.
I saw
Man, what did you
I
do,
saw it
man?
from the base.
This game is fun. It's what I wanted. But they finished it 3 years too late. They've added more game modes, forge, a few weapons, kind of. Even online co-op. Still no couch co-op though.
Ah, no! Come on!
But at this point, no one cares. Most of the players are gone again. How did this happen? This was Microsoft's biggest video game ever. Why were there no features and no content? They had 6 years and $500 million. Once again, we come back to the suits. Microsoft.
Microsoft was just riding on hope for Halo Infinite, and it boggles my mind that they were simply just like hoping everything would be fine and dandy with Halo Infinite. We're talking about Halo here, and they just said, let's just hope for the best. And they weren't They weren't making sure everything was okay. They're supposed to be leaders, but they weren't being leaders.
So leadership at 343 hoped for the best, and at the finish line, they fumbled. No playtesting, no care for the game from top leaders. How can you do that with your biggest IP, Microsoft? How can you do that with your only IP, 343? Now, some of the blame isn't on 343. Mismanagement was also exacerbated by the slip space engine and the Microsoft model of hiring limited time contractors.
They want this big flagship title of Halo to succeed. They can't be hiring contract workers for 6 months on a very difficult engine to work with, and then they're just canning people soon after and then bringing in new people that then have to take so long to learn their very hard to learn engine to work with, and then just rinse and repeat for literally the past decade. So Microsoft, I think, has really not harbored the best environment. They've not curated the best environment for 343, and then the leadership at 343 has not been able to run with, I think, proper direction.
Eventually, finally, Microsoft did a right thing. Maybe not the right thing, which would have been release the game properly, but they did something. In September 2022, Bonnie Ross stepped down as head of 343. But the change in leadership was too late. People had already moved on. When I was at Gamescom wandering around looking at all the booths, I stopped at the Doom booth looking at the big man and thought, Microsoft is done with Halo. There's no other explanation, which is what started me on the path to making this video and why I think Halo should be dead by now. Not because it's unfun, not because fans don't care, but because Microsoft smothered it. They tried to control the series with Bungie, but the team fought Microsoft tooth and nail. Then they almost killed the series with 343, and now it sits on life support. What's next? Is it possible for Halo to rise above, or will Halo enter the Microsoft video games graveyard? Well, in 2024, something interesting did happen. A choice that I think will solidify Halo's death, or possibly its rebirth. 343 went through a total overhaul, a complete rebrand as Halo Studios. And when this happened, the head of Halo Studios, Pierre Hensey, said something very interesting. If you really break Halo down, there have been two very distinct chapters. Chapter 1, Bungie, and Chapter 2, 343 Industries. Now, I think we have an audience which is hungry for more. So we're not just going to try and improve the efficiency of development, but change the recipe of how we make Halo games. So we start a new chapter today. This, to me, was the most corporate possible way to say, we effed up with 343, we accept that part of our history, but it's a new dawn. No more slip space, no more bad leaders. We will be using Unreal, and we'll have leaders who care about Halo. And when I spoke to the head of Forge of 343, or Halo Studios, about these changes and my concerns with the new engine, he was excited about this change and believed it was the future. He believed Halo would be better than ever. That said, this is probably 343's, Halo Studios, whatever you want to call them, last chance. Although the rebrand has gotten some people to get excited again for Halo, there are too many people that aren't. Mint Blitz put it this way.
There's three groups of Halo fans currently. One group is hopeful for the future. One group absolutely despises Halo Studios and everything 343 put out in the past. And the other group is so tired and so indifferent about everything now, they really don't know what to feel anymore.
So these three groups probably look like this. Microsoft has lost a third of its Halo players, and unless they make a Halo game better than anything that has come before, they aren't coming back. The indifferent group is just tired of all the bad games and all the drama. They aren't nearly as jaded as the hate group, but they just aren't Halo fans anymore and will probably poke their head out if a good Halo game comes rolling by. And then there's the positive group. These poor souls, like me, who hold on to hope that Halo Studios delivers something I can be proud of. But if the next Halo game is crap, if it just tanks, I think most positive Halo fans will be lost. So, what does Halo Studios need to do to avoid screwing up their final chance? Well, number one, less meddling suits and more passionate leaders. Bungie was a smaller team of passionate people. Everyone was pointed in the same direction and they made great games. 343 was a bigger team of corporate leaders. Their mission and vision was unclear and driven by profit. So 343 ended up making products. To be clear, Halo isn't alone in this, it's all over entertainment. But you need passionate creatives at the top who care. Not suits. Suits will lead to short-term gains, but long-term failure, which is why we need more passionate devs running Halo Studios and suits assisting those passionate people to make the right business choices. Never the other way around. Now, the second thing Halo Studios need to do is make Halo a social game again. Stop saying the word competitive. Halo isn't a competitive game. It's a social game with competitive aspects.
It comes down to is getting together with people and being able to yell at them, being able to like reflect on the gameplay afterwards.
Blue team got the most captures.
And you jump up and scream and throw your controller down, and you hate it, but you love it, and you gotta play again.
Halo's a game where I can be losing and still be having fun, where screwing up is often more fun than playing perfectly.
All right, this is Dan Master Flash, kind of driving like you drive.
Go ask any Halo fan out there what their favorite memory is. Most probably won't say when I won. It'll probably be something like, me and my friends played split screen for hours on the couch until 3 a.m., or we spent hours in Forge making sick custom maps to try on the next game night. Halo's multiplayer used to be about playing with friends first, and being competitive second, and the Bungie devs knew this. Even Lucid, who is considered to be the best competitive player in Halo, thinks Halo needs a more social aspect to be a more community-driven game.
So I more care about the broader community aspect, and it's like I'm gonna probably love any Halo that comes out no matter what, and I'll play it. But I want the community aspect. I want the community there supporting and being there and actually appreciating what's there, and 343 backing it.
Which brings me to the third and final thing Halo Studios need to do to make a successful game, and that is have less Microsoft. Originally, when I saw all those booths at Gamescom and I saw no Master Chief amongst them, I was sad. To me, this was a sign that Halo was truly dying. But now, as I've researched the history of Halo, I think it might be the best thing for the series. Without Microsoft oversight, maybe the team won't ship a game early. Maybe it'll have a great story without politics or weird ideas. Maybe the multiplayer will become the experience I've been waiting 15 years for, just completely jam-packed full of fun. If Microsoft can just forget about our boy John and focus on all the other companies they bought, and hopefully let these passionate developers at Halo Studios make the next game as it should be, we might actually get the Halo game we've been dreaming about. Thanks everyone for watching. Real quick, if you like indie games like Hades or Binding of Isaac, go check out my game Fallen Worlds. It's on Steam, and my buddies and I have been working on it for years, literal 4 or 5 years. It's co-op, it's fun, and you can customize all your abilities, not to mention a bunch of other things. The best part, we are releasing it in early access on April 17th. There is still so much we want to build and add to Fallen Worlds, and we would love any feedback or ideas, which is why we're launching it in early access. So go try out our demo and wishlist it on Steam. Thanks everyone again. Peace.